You know what they say, the NBA season doesn't officially begin until Christmas Day because that's when the players are finally in tip-top shape and the rust wears off. Which is true, but after the All-Star break is when it's really showtime. You better play your butt off if you have any aspirations of making the playoffs. But the All-Star break isn't only for the players. The weekend is also a treat for the fans to witness the most talented players in the world gather in one location. And I used to love watching players go at it in a game of horse. It was actually more entertaining than you think it would be, but it only lasted 2 years, which I'm okay with. I can let that go. But what I'm not too fond of is having complete no-names participate in the dunk contest. Okay, maybe I shouldn't say complete no-names, but they aren't the type of players that are gonna necessarily make you rush to turn your TV on. Sure, they might have extreme jumping ability, even more than most stars, but what's the fun in that? I want to see the big names, you know, superstars, battling it out for bragging rights, like they used to do in the past. Speaking of superstars, the Skills Challenge definitely does a much better job when it comes to well-known names participating in the event. But me being the picky person I am, it still doesn't match up to some of the older Skills Challenges we've seen before, like in 2007. I mean, just look at those household names. You got D-Wade, Kobe, LeBron, CP3. With players like that, you're bound to have people tune in to watch. The 2011 Skills Challenge is also another example of a star-studded cast. And like I said, the participants today are still very much stars themselves, but I think we should at least go back to the old format to make it more interesting. Now, I'm not quite done nitpicking the All-Star Weekend just yet. Let me ask you something. How many of you guys are actually fans of the new pickup game format when it comes to the All-Star rosters? Like, I thought it had potential to be pretty cool, but after a couple years of it, I think it was way better just to have the West go up against the East, instead of mixing them all together. I mean, the East versus the West just seems more, you know, badass. Like, being able to see which conference has the better stars seems way more intriguing. But those East-West jerseys, yeah, they can go, because I much more prefer the individual jerseys when they got to represent their own team. There was just something really cool about repping your team's city across your chest in the All-Star game, and it made the fans of whatever team uniform they were wearing so proud to have one of their very own players selected for the game. And I know they tried recently with these black and white logos, but it just doesn't stand out to me as much. Now let's transition to the postseason. There's a few things I gotta get off my chest. First is round 1 of the playoffs. We've all been there before. When you're looking at the playoff bracket, excited to see the first round matchups, and then you come across a series or two where you just know who's gonna win. It's just inevitable, like recently when the Raptors had the Magic in the first round, or when the Bucks went up against Detroit. Like, come on, we already knew who were going to advance out of those series, so why should we have to wait so long for the second round to get going? Well, that's why I think they should re-implement the best of 5 format in the first round. Yeah, if you didn't know already, prior to 03, the first round series would only require you to win 3 games in order to advance, instead of 4, which might not sound like much of a difference, but trust me, it would make things much smoother going forward. It would also decrease the chances of a player going down, like Kevin Love did in the first round of the 2015 playoffs, but I guess the NBA has to make more money somehow. I'm sure we can all agree that the NBA award show is pretty entertaining. We get to hear hilarious jokes from the host, along with musical performances from our favorite artists. But I'm not trying to wait a whole month after the season ends just to find out who wins the MVP. And most of the time, we know whose name is gonna be called anyway. But that's not the issue. The problem I have with the award show is I believe the fans of that particular MVP should be able to witness their player receive and hoist the trophy in front of them. I mean, they were the ones cheering and supporting him all season long, spending their hard-earned money to watch their MVP perform, so they deserve to go back to the time where the award was handed out at mid-court. I know if my favorite player, Damian Lillard, ever won the MVP, then I would much rather him share the special moment with everyone in the arena. The NBA Finals. Every player has to give their blood, sweat, and tears just to make it that far, and I bet they feel on top of the world while hearing their name during the player introductions. All that hard work finally paid off. And one thing that used to exist definitely enhanced the feeling of butterflies in their stomach. Okay, maybe I'm going way too deep on this, but I'm talking about the giant Larry O'Brien trophy that each player got to step on and stand next to while getting their names called. Now, is it just me? Or is that enormous trophy freaking awesome? I can only imagine how it must have felt with the bright lights on you, knowing that you're about to play in an NBA Finals game, and that statue thing is proof of it. So, have any of you guys noticed that there's something missing nowadays when it comes to the NBA Finals? There's just something a little off. Yeah, you still get to witness some epic games between two dominant teams, but I'm sure some of you guys know where I'm going with this. I'm talking about the court itself. You see, during the majority of the 2000s, there would be a huge logo of the finals trophy right in the middle of the court, further showing that those games were a pretty big deal. There was just something kind of magical about it. It made it seem like it was the big stage, like you're about to watch something special. But all of a sudden, I believe in like 2010, they just stopped doing it. And that wasn't the only thing fans noticed was missing. Many people continuously point out that the classic cursive finals logo is no longer there either, along with the playoff logo as well. No one knows the exact reason for the NBA's decision to eliminate the logos, but some say it's because there was concern that the players might slip on them and they potentially can cause an injury. In fact, there was actually an incident where Michael Carter Williams apparently slipped on an Allen Iverson logo that was placed on the court for his retirement celebration. So these days, they're trying to limit as much logos as possible. Alright guys, that's the end of the video. I know it kind of sounds like I'm hating on today's NBA, and I know the world doesn't revolve around me, but I just can't help but to want some of the old things back that I grew up with. But anyways, thanks so much for watching. Make sure to comment down below if there's anything you miss about the NBA. And also, don't forget to like and subscribe.